Hey, how's it going? I don't know if it started. Hey, everyone. My name's Steven. I'm from Holburne Mushroom Farm. Um, I'm a third generation farmer, and we are located about an hour north of Toronto in a small town called Queensville, Ontario. At my family farm, we grow exotic mushrooms. So you can see here, I'm just standing in front of the racks that they grow on. Um, we grow mushrooms called shiitake and oyster. Um, Everything that we grow is organic and it's extremely healthy and nutritious for you. I'm going to turn the camera here so you guys can see how we do things. So, you've probably never seen how mushrooms grow before, but basically, um, these here are what we call mushroom logs. So, these here are man made. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to replicate how a mushroom would grow in the forest. So mushrooms grow in the forest on decomposing logs. So what we do here is this log is made up of sawdust. So it's made up of grinded up sawdust, and we inoculate it with mushroom seed. And then through lots of tender love and care, after about 14 weeks, we put the mushrooms in these special growing rooms. You can see here we have lots of airflow, lots of light, lots of space. We can control the humidity and the temperature, and we make the mushrooms fruit outside of the skin of the blocks. So these mushrooms here will double in size every 24 hours. So if I come back in here tomorrow, right now this mushroom's about the size of my thumb. If I come back in here tomorrow, this mushroom will be about this big. The next day, this big. We harvest mushrooms here 7 days a week, and all of our mushrooms, within a couple of days of being harvested, end up at the grocery stores. Lots and lots and lots of mushrooms. So these ones here are called shiitake, and we grow another kind called oysters, but those are all the way on the other side of the farm. Very cool stuff. And you can see a tractor outside.
Hi, Steve. Just wanted to let you know that you're breaking up a little bit. So if you
Okay.
can reduce the amount of moving around that you're doing, I think that would help.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, sorry about that, boys and girls. I was just told that the connection's breaking up a little bit, but anyways, you can see here, these are the mushrooms. Is there any questions from anyone, or?
How many mushrooms leave your farm every day, Steve?
Okay, so at our farm, we produce about 40,000 pounds of mushrooms every week. So 40,000 pounds, that would work out to about, gosh, I don't know, maybe 10 truckloads of mushrooms every week. How many logs do you have? So, good question. So on these here are the logs here. So all the logs are spaced out evenly on the growing beds. So inside this room here, this room will hold about 10,200 logs. So we put out 40,000 of these logs per week. Okay, so just to say it again, so these logs here are man-made, and what they are growing in is sawdust. So to be able to replicate mushrooms on a commercial scale, we have to replicate how mushrooms would grow in the wild. So in the wild, mushrooms grow on decomposing wood. So if you walk in the forest, you'll see them underneath trees or on logs or growing on the sides of dead trees. So basically what we're doing is we're trying to replicate that with these logs. So we take sawdust and some cereal grain, so like wheat bran or straw, stuff like that, and we make a mixture in a big mix, and then we cook it. We do lots of things, lots of technical things to it, anyways, and then we inoculate the sawdust with mushroom seed, and then after about 14 weeks of tender loving care, the mushrooms start to pop out like this. What varieties of mushrooms do you grow? So at Holburne Mushroom Farm, we specialize in organic exotic mushrooms. So we grow shiitake and oysters. We've started to grow a little bit of lion's mane, which it's been very popular lately on the internet. It looks like a lion's mane, I guess, hence the name. Yeah, so we specialize in growing exotic mushrooms, but shiitake and oysters are our strengths, our forte. Back in the day when I was very, very, very young, my grandfather founded the business, and we were growing white button mushrooms, which is like the most common mushroom. And then in 2005, we converted to growing these. And we've been doing them ever since. What is the difference between the two mushroom varieties that you grow? Okay, good question. So, how do I explain that one? So basically, it's like, I guess, different varieties of berries. You know, you have strawberries, you have blueberries, you have raspberries, you have blackberries. Same thing with mushrooms. All mushrooms are unique. They have, you know, certain and distinct tastes. Shiitake, when you eat shiitake, they have like a more of a peppery or earthy taste to them. When you eat oyster mushrooms, they have a little bit more of a spicy taste to them. I can't really explain it too much, but basically the biggest difference between the varieties of mushrooms that we grow are the taste and the actual health benefits. So shiitake and oyster mushrooms are extremely healthy for you. They're good for your skin. They're good for your hair. They've been used in lots of natural medicines. This might be too big of a word, but there's a nutraceutical movement coming on where people are trying to, you know, get really, really healthy by eating grinded up mushrooms. And I guess I don't really want to dive too much into that one, but yeah, the health benefits of exotic mushrooms are extremely vast. What temperature do you keep the room? Good question. So, mushrooms grow best in the wild during the fall and the spring. So, again, we're trying to replicate that. So, we keep the room at 14 degrees Celsius. So, in the summertime, in the wintertime, in the spring, and in the fall, it's always 14 degrees Celsius in here. So, it's heated in the winter and it's cooled in the summer. By holding that constant temperature, we're able to grow mushrooms 7 days a week, 365 days a year. If you're harvesting your own seeds for future mushrooms, what does your setup for that look like? Is it done in the same growing area, etc.? Your farm is very interesting and cool. Thanks for the info. Thank you for that. So that's a really loaded question, but basically, to engineer the seeds, I call them seeds. Basically, mushroom is a fungus. Okay, so fungus do not have seeds. You can see here, there's this white stuff. This white stuff is called mycelium. So mycelium, picture it like a spider's web. So the mycelium is technically the mushroom seed. It's fungus. So we inoculate the block with the mycelium, and then the mycelium goes throughout all the sawdust over 14 weeks like a spider's web, and that's technically what the mushroom seed is. So to make the actual mushroom seed, everything is done in a very, very high-tech lab. Everybody's in big, long lab coats, and there's everything is sterile. It's so basically the lab that we make the seeds in is so clean, you can actually perform open heart surgery in it. It's very, very important to be very clean with mushrooms. How many people work in your farm? So we have 4 farms, 3 in Ontario and 1 on the east coast of Canada in New Brunswick. And we employ about 50 people. And we work, so we harvest mushrooms 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Already said that. So we have constant crew working every single day. What is your favorite way to eat mushrooms? Um, hmm. I'm definitely gonna have to say on the barbecue, 100%. Um, Sometimes the shiitake grow really big, kind of like the size of my hand, and we throw those on the barbecue and we brush them with some olive oil, and we put some oregano and salt and pepper on them, and they're absolutely delicious. You can stuff them with cheese, make them like a shish kebab. Um, there's How long can you use the logs for? Are they reusable? Really good question. Okay, so um, we use these logs for one growing cycle. So basically, when we put them onto the growing beds, let me restart. So mushrooms are made up of sawdust. These mushroom logs, sorry, are made up of sawdust. Sawdust is considered a byproduct of the forestry industry. So what we're doing as mushroom farmers is we're taking products that are considered waste from somebody else, and we're turning them into something that will actually grow mushrooms. So we are the ultimate recyclers. So we can use this log one time to grow one crop of mushrooms. Once the log is finished, we take it out back to our compost pile and we grind them up. Once it's grinded up, we then sell it to garden centers who sell it to, your mom and your dad, and they can put mushroom compost inside their gardens and they can use it as fertilizer. So from the very start, the very beginning of this log's life cycle to the very end of it, it is 100% recycled. It is made up of recycled material, and it ends its life being recycled into another industry. So everything is used and everything is reused. So to answer your question, we grow one cycle from here. How often do you pick the mushrooms? We pick mushrooms every single morning. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, every single morning, the crew will come through here and they will hand pick the mushrooms that are ready for market. So these ones here are still little babies, the little small ones, little babies. So these ones here will be ready in about 5 days. So in about 4 or 5 days, this mushroom will be this big, this big. So they double in size every 24 hours. And then the crew will come through here and they will hand select everyone that's ready for the market. So we pick mushrooms every single morning. Do you sell the used compost to farmers as fertilizer for their fields? Yes, we do. So we sell it to predominantly sod farmers, so farmers that are growing grass, or we sell it to garlic farmers. And that's because the nutrients that are left inside of this log after we've grown from it are perfect for fertilizing sod fields and garlic fields. So yes, we do sell to farmers. We also sell to garden centers, and they bag it and sell it to moms and dads. Do your mushrooms grow best in daylight or darkness? Very good question. So my mushrooms need a little bit of light and a little bit of dark. So exotic mushrooms, shiitake and oysters, they need about 12 hours a day of light and 12 hours a day of darkness. And that's how we get our perfect crop. White button mushrooms, which is the stuff that you guys are probably more used to, they grow in complete darkness. So there is absolutely no light. The only light they see is when the harvesters are inside of the rooms picking them. Other than that, they grow in complete darkness. So those are the white button mushrooms. So my shiitake mushrooms, they have 12 hours a day of light, 12 hours a day of darkness. Good question. How many mushroom farms make the same kinds as you do? Okay, good question. So in Ontario, there might be a couple that do the same thing that we do. But fun fact, Holburne Mushroom Farm is actually the largest producer of shiitake and oysters in Canada. And I'm very proud to say that. But there is maybe 2 or 3 farms in Ontario that grow the same kind of mushrooms that I do. So our mushrooms that we pick here at this farm just north of Toronto, they go all the way from Nova Scotia and then all the way to the other side of Canada to British Columbia. We also send lots of our mushrooms into the United States. They go all over the north of the USA and they go all over California. So from our little farm just north of Toronto, our mushrooms are distributed coast to coast. How many mushroom rooms do you have? So in this, so you can see here, this is the mushroom room, the growing room. So at this farm here, we have 5. At my other farm, we have 18. At another farm, we have 8. And at our other farm, we have 10. So I lost count there, but quite a bit. Did you go to mushroom school? So my mushroom school was going to work with my grandfather. So my grandfather taught me everything that he knew about mushrooms. And then I was very fortunate. I'm a young man, and I was very fortunate to be able to go over to Europe quite a bit. And I've met lots of people that took me under their wing and mentored me, and they taught me all the tricks of the trade. And they taught me all of their secrets. and I'm very, very, very fortunate for that. So for me, I learn best by doing things, which I'm sure some of you are like that as well. So um, I've been able to travel, quite a bit, and I've been all over the place, and I've seen many people growing the same mushrooms that I grow in different styles and different techniques. And I've been able to come home and I've been able to implement that at my farm. And sometimes the ideas work and sometimes they don't. So my mushroom school was learning from other masters. That's my mushroom school. How much water does a mushroom farm use? A lot. A lot of water. So basically, it would be hard to see, but we have specialized watering systems that come from the roof, and they spray a mist probably twice an hour, and that keeps the floor nice and wet, and it keeps the room very damp because the mushrooms need to grow in a very, very humid environment. So the exact gallons and stuff like that, I don't know, but we use quite a bit of water. What's the humidity like in that growing room? It's very, very, very icky. So the humidity is anywhere from 85% to 95%. So it's very, very, very icky. But that's what mushrooms love. So we need to give the mushrooms what they love so that way they grow nice and big and strong. You guys are asking very good questions. Do you collect rainwater or recycle the used water at the farm? Another really good question. So we are actually in talks to kind of develop a system to collect all of the rainwater that hits our roof and then filter it and clean it and then be able to use that in our farm. So that's something that we're really looking forward to. It's a project that's very green. It's good for the environment, and it's recycling wasted water. What prevents mold from growing? That's a really good question. So, what prevents mold from growing? So, from the day that we put these logs onto the growing beds, you can see here on my popsicle stick, these ones went out on February the 9th. So, from the day that we put these logs onto the growing beds, we pick them up, we grow the mushrooms, we pick the mushrooms, and then the logs are finished. The cycle is about 15 days. So after we've grown this room, all of these logs are going to go into our compost pile. So the room will be emptied. Once the room is emptied, we come through here and we clean and sanitize everything. So we mop all the beds, we mop all the floors, we clean and we scrub everything. So being very clean like that after every single cycle reduces the chances of any kind of bacteria growing on the beds. Just join. What temperature do you keep the room? So the temperature of the room stays at 14 degrees Celsius throughout the entire year. So summer, spring, winter, and fall, we're at 14. What is your favorite part of being a mushroom farmer? Huh. I've honest to God never really thought about that. I love what I do. My grandfather founded the business, and he taught me a lot of what I do. We're a very small family business. I still work with my aunt and my uncle, and my cousins. And I think probably the best thing I love the most about being a mushroom farmer is working with my family. You know, we get to see each other every day. We have breakfast with each other every day. And I think that's the best part about being a mushroom farmer. Plus, I get to look at these little babies grow every day. So I've never really thought about that one, but thanks for asking that question. Thanks for a great tour. Thank you guys.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Am I off live or am I still on live?
No, we're still live.
Oh,
Have a happy Canada's Ag Day, everyone. Thanks for joining.
thank you, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed seeing our farm. And if you guys are ever in the area, you can Google us, Holburne Mushroom Farm. We do in-person farm tours, and I love teaching people what we do, okay? Everybody have a good day.